Welcome to Brian Keane Fitness Podcast, where we talk everything fitness, nutrition and mindset with your host, Brian Keane.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Brian Keane Fitness Podcast. We talk everything fitness, nutrition and mindset to help you with your goals. Today's episode I'm joined by my guest Barry O Sullivan from O Sullivan Fitness on Facebook. Hey Barry.
Hey Brian, hey everyone.
We got such amazing feedback from this style of episode. So if this is your first time listening, basically Barry came up with questions. I don't know what they are in advance. Anyone following me for a while, you know, most of my stuff is all improv and off the cuff. So the feedback from this style of episode has been incredible. So we're going to keep it going in terms of Barry's just going to fire questions and I'm going to answer them as we go along. And we'll see how it goes. So Barry, what's the first question for today?
Yeah, so I'm coming at it from a bit of a different angle today, Brian. The first one is the health and fitness industry going in the right direction? And where do you see the industry going 5, 10 or even 15 years from now?
Okay, great question to start us off. What I think the fitness industry, and this is all personal because everything is a perspective and opinion of this moment in time, and I'm basing my own opinion off what I've seen. Sometimes I'm not sure, is it because of the way I see the fitness industry? Is that shadowing or is that putting too much emphasis on where I see it going? But I think personally that the fitness industry is going to move more towards the realism of people and people working towards building their nutrition and building a lifestyle and getting in shape by following a certain lifestyle as opposed to eating certain foods, being calorie cutting and bulking, being really restrictive on eating, trying to look the way that everyone on Instagram and Facebook looks. I think fitness is going to move in the direction that the way you look will be a byproduct of the way you live. I can kind of see this trend starting to shift with people I work with now. People that are in my online program, I build a lot of my philosophy on the principle of educating my people that I work with on nutrition and what foods will give your body energy, what foods will take away your body's energy, things like highly processed foods, certain ingredients, additives, sweeteners, preservatives are all going to take energy from your body because your body has to understand what those foods are and it's going to consume energy trying to figure it out as opposed to giving you the calories, giving you the energy like food is supposed to do. And I tend to find that a lot of people I work with personally, when they've made that shift into their lifestyle changing and their body composition changing as a result of the way they live and as a result of working with tension style workouts, working for higher intensity, that they find that when you see your body shifting by just the way you live your life and eating a certain way, that it's way more sustainable long term. And I personally think the fitness industry is going to move in that direction. I think right now there's a lot of smoke and mirrors that I think thankfully things like Snapchat, Instagram stories, live video is starting to take away. I know myself as someone that was in the fitness industry. So if you guys have been following me a while, you know that I was down the professional fitness model route. I won my pro card, which allowed me to compete for money at Miami Pro. I did the Worlds in Las Vegas, the pay-per-view show where I finished 8th. I was very much in that smoke and mirrors world where you could put up a selfie from 6 months ago when you were 5% body fat and everybody thought that's the way you looked now and people would buy into you because they thought that's what you look like 365 days of the year and you would put it across like that's the way you did look. I think that is going to come to an end. I think that's very much in a lot of people are starting to realize that following certain people on social media who put up a lot of ab selfies and a lot of glute selfies and a lot of look at how amazing I look, people are starting to realize a lack of content, very much a look at me, ego gratification. And I can say this as somebody that did this. You know, if you check my content from 3 years ago, you know, you can see that I was that guy. I was that ab selfie wanker. I was that person that provided no value. So I can say this is somebody that did it and came out the other side and realized like, oh my God, I'm actually not helping anybody this way. I personally think that social media, because it's so ingrained in the fitness industry right now, I think that change to live video. Like I've literally had people come up to me and mention, now I don't follow fitness people, I'm the worst fitness fan in the world, but people are like, oh, I saw so-and-so Snapchat, they don't look like that. They don't look like their photos on Instagram. I'm like, that's how people look every day. I was like, people aren't walking around at 3% body fat, you know, and the people that are, there's other stuff going on there. There's different issues with drugs or body dysmorphia or people starving themselves that people don't talk about. You know, just because the girl's walking around bikini ready all year or the guy's walking around with an 8-pack, that person may be the most insecure person you've ever met. I know myself, when I was at my very leanest and my biggest, was the most insecure that I ever was in my whole life, which is so ironic. When you look back at photos, I was 5 or 6% body fat at 91, 92 kilos. I was big and I was lean and I hated the way I looked. I was so insecure walking around because you're normally the way that you perceive yourself and put out on social media and the way you come across is normally a complete inverse to the way you feel inside, because people think, oh, well, they're so confident, they look amazing, and you're actually so insecure in yourself on the inside that nobody sees. And I'm not speaking for any other fitness people, nor would I. It's not my place to ever say anything about anybody else in that industry, but I can speak where I was from. And I think the whole trend in fitness is going to move away from that and people thinking that this is reality, which I think as a reflection and as a result will move towards people being like, there has to be a way to live my life, to be able to go for drinks with my friends, to be able to eat out in restaurants, to be able to chill and have ice cream with my kids on a Saturday night and look the way I want to look, have the energy, have more energy in life, which is what training and nutrition should do, and have that balance. I think fitness is going to move in that complete direction over the next probably even sooner than 5 years. After that, 10, 15 years, I have no idea. But I think personally, that's where I think it's going to go. What do you think, Barry, on that? Where would you say the fitness industry is going to go yourself?
Yeah, well, I think it depends on a lot of the influences as well. I don't want to say it's a responsibility, but the people out there, like such as ourselves, I suppose, personal trainers and people who are in the public eye, I think it's up for us and others to set a good example, to set people on the right path, because a lot of the people out there, they want to do well. It's sometimes just a lack of know-how, and it can be even just a lack of belief. So I think if people know how to do it and how to go in the right direction, I think collectively we'll go in the right direction. So I think it's what's in the media and what people watch as well. Obviously, we've talked about before, has a huge influence on where it's going to go. So I think a lot of, the stuff of today, the Instagram and all that will decline. It'll always be there, but I think it's at that stage now where it's still big, but like everything, it's a fad that kind of does slowly pass. But I think for the most part, if there's good influences there and the right information is being pushed out to people, like you said, the content you put out, that's the most important thing. I think we can go in the right direction. Yeah, I think it's so important, and I've spoke about this in other episodes, that it's so important that you follow 2 or 3 people and let them be your guide, and I've spoken before, that doesn't have to be me, that doesn't have to be Barry, but follow 2 or 3 people whose belief and ideas and philosophies you believe in, and then consume all of their information, because if that's resonated with you, there's a reason that's landed with you. I'm very aware that my strategies, and I've got different things that I like meal timings, eating real foods, avoiding processed foods, increasing your body's energy, reducing anything that's going to give you cravings, anxiety, worry through nutrition, doing tension style training that elevates metabolism, higher intensity style cardio that gives you a better bang for your buck so that you're not 2 hours in the gym. I have philosophies that I like, but there's going to be people that love keto, that love flexible dieting, that love IFYM, and they're strategies that I've used with people I work with, but they're not my baseline things that I live by myself. But you may find there's somebody else out there that has certain philosophies that you just love. Then I recommend that you just consume their information and buy into what they have to say, because they're going to support you going forward. What happens in the fitness industry is it's the case that we're starved for knowledge and drowned in information and starved for knowledge. There's just so much information out there that you can get so drowned in all the little bits that you get analysis paralysis, and you don't know what's the right nutrition plan, you don't know what's the right training program, you don't know, should you do low intensity cardio, high intensity cardio, should you be flexible dieting, should you be eating protein bars, should you be eating real foods, should you be eating microwave foods, you don't know. So it's so important to buy into the people whose philosophies and ideals that resonate and land with you, trial it, and when it works, and if it works for you, then you double down on that and make that your philosophy. As I said, that doesn't need to be me, that doesn't need to be Barry, that may be somebody completely different, but my advice would be that you cap the people that you allow influence your actual inner thoughts, because the thoughts you put into your head will influence the actions that you take, and the actions you take will influence the circumstances of your life. If you hate the way you look, if you have no energy, if you're eating less than 1,000 calories, if you're in a training program that's making you injured,
it's probably a sign, a cause and effect that that's not what's meant for you. So find something that's going to be sustainable for you, that you can adopt into your lifestyle, and make that your thing. Make that the way you eat. Make that the way you train. And that's where I think that fitness is going to move. I think people are going to get a bit more schooled and clued in on what works for them, and they're going to adopt the different strategies that apply to each person's lifestyle and schedule.
Perfect.
Hey everyone, I want to say a massive thank you for downloading this podcast. I hope you got loads of value from today's episode. For more information on my BKF online program, just send me an email, brian@briankeenfitness.com, or head over to the website or Facebook, Brian Keane Fitness, and just send me a message. The online program is everything you need to get into incredible shape. Whether you're a guy looking to build muscle and lose body fat, or a girl looking to drop a couple of dress sizes and just flatten out her stomach, the program gives you everything you need. It's my only online program where I track and monitor the first 50 people that sign up, and it has everything that you need in terms of training, a beginner program, intermediate program, or a pro or advanced for anyone that's at a high training level, and a nutritional plan with everything you need to get into incredible shape. All the recipes, macro calculations, and systems that you need based around your goals. You'll also go into that group where I can work with you, and you can ask me questions back and forth, where we do a Q&A every single week, on top of having one of my coaches work with you Monday to Friday throughout the entire 6 weeks. So for more information on that, just send me a message, and thanks again for downloading the episode. Awesome. Okay, next question.
Brilliant. Question 2 would be, in your opinion, is there a lack of emphasis on mindset today, and how important is it to people for succeeding and being happy in general?
I think we're starting to move in the direction that mindset is starting to become a bit more trendy. I don't think it's peaked yet.
Yeah.
I think we're moving in that direction. My entire book is split into, my book will be out the end of May. My book is completely split into 2 different sections. It's got the whole first half is based on fitness, so nutrition, supplements, sleep, alcohol, how to train. And then the whole second section is based on the mindset, which is basically how to form habits, how to reduce anxiety, worry, stress, all of these things that can have an influence on the way you think, because effectively what you put into your mind, as I said, will influence the actions that you take, and the actions you take will give you the body you have or the circumstance of the life that you have. I think they're very one and the same. I think you can have the best tools in the world. It's like having the keys for the Ferrari. It's amazing having the keys and having the Ferrari, but if you don't know how to drive it, it's no good to anyone sitting in your garage. And that's kind of how fitness is. You can have the best nutrition plan, you can have the best training program, you can use all the right supplements, but if you don't have the mindset to get you there and keep you there, then you're not going to be able to sustain it long term. I've worked with countless people and spoken with numerous others who will say, well, I got in great shape and then I couldn't keep it there, which is so ironic, because my philosophy, and I know Barry, you're very similar when you work with clients, it's about getting people in shape and then giving you the tools to sustain that. And anyone you work with, and I'm not saying it's not a plug for me, it's not a plug for Barry, anybody you work with, any trainer, any fitness professional, anyone in general should be giving you the tools so that you can do it yourself. It's to teach a man to fish, he'll fish for a day. Or if you give a man a fish, he'll eat for a day. If you teach him to fish, he'll eat for a lifetime. I personally feel that's how every fitness professional has a right to anyone that follows them and works with them, that you're giving your clients and giving the people you work with the tools so that they're able to get into amazing shape and sustain it. Now, there's accountability. Now, that's different. If somebody needs to stay accountable to you, that's staying on track. We all need that. I've got business coaches and life coaches that I work with, and people, you're under my mentorship program, and the accountability is huge, but that's not me holding back information. Like when I'm giving you business tips, I'm giving you everything I know. I'm like, go apply this, because that's what the way life should be. And that's a mindset thing, because the more information you have and the more tools you have, and when you apply it and see that it works, that builds confidence. And when you have the mindset and you're forming habits, because it's all one and the same, building confidence, belief, ambition, habits, all of that is effectively mindset, because you need to be able to combine everything. As I said, you can have the Ferrari, you can have the keys, but if you don't know how to drive it, it's not going to be any good to you. So I think personally they're one and the same. That was why I wrote the book, literally half and half. They're integrated, of course, but they are very much into 2 different sections for that exact reason, because I think it's very, very difficult to get into incredible shape, have all the tools, if you don't have the mindset to be able to keep it. And just the things like dealing with anxiety, dealing with worry, understanding stress in the body, all of these things that affect a large proportion of the population. I can speak for myself and a lot of people I work with, issues with sleep, how to time alcohol, how to time your free meals, all of these things that that we take for granted, and some professional, as a fitness professional, can take for granted that people know that it's so important to have those tools, but then understand that you need to be able to think a certain way and feed your mind with certain information in order to be able to keep that, sustain it, and do it long term.
So you agree it hasn't peaked yet. There's still room for improvement there.
I think it's on the way up. I think people are starting to become way more self-aware that you can have all the tools, but if you don't have the mindset to keep it, and we've talked before, myself and you, in personal conversations about things like self-sabotage, where you will literally get into amazing shape and then you'll sabotage yourself. You get into a great relationship and you'll sabotage yourself. Yeah. You'll hit a certain income in your business and you'll sabotage yourself. And we do it. It's something that's very ingrained in a lot of us, whether we know it or not. And I've done it on several occasions in different channels of my life. And I'm very aware it's a thing, so I need to catch it now. It's why I work with people and work with coaches and read books that help me recognize it, because when you can recognize something, it's a lot easier to be able to actually put the plans in place to help yourself. But I personally think it's on the peak and is going to grow. And I think it's going to be very similar, as I said, with the fitness lifestyle. I think it's going to be very much integrated long-term in fitness and in nutrition, that people are going to understand that you can have all the tools, but you also need the mindset to be able to keep it. And it's something that I'll be very much doubling down in my own aspect of life in terms of business, relationships, fitness, health, and making sure that I keep my mindset pretty bulletproof so that I don't let negative things in and all those negative attributes of life that can affect your journey.
Okay. The last question then would be, in business or in life in general, do you think it's important for everyone to have goals or to have a will to succeed? Or does this just depend on the individual and is everyone different?
It's funny, because had you asked me this question a month ago, I probably would have had a different answer. Okay. And I'm going to tell a little bit of a story because it's very, very different to each person. I joke with Paul Germany, somebody else that came through my mentorship program, is very, very successful in the personal training world now. He's doing amazing things. But he is very much opposite to me in the sense that he plans and does everything day by day. He gets everything right day by day, but doesn't really understand or need to understand the long-term goal on things. It's kind of like, well, the door will open up as it comes along, where I can tell you my 10-year vision, and we're both very, very different people. So I would have said up to this point that it's very important for people to set their goals and work towards a target. I'm very much in the belief that you can't hit a target you can't see. And I always use the football analogy or a rugby analogy that if, for example, you're shooting for a goal and you can't see the goal, you don't know where you're kicking it, and I think goals are very, very similar to that in terms of your actual where you want to be. If you can't see the goal, how can you shoot a target for it? I give it advice with people that are in business. I'm like, if you don't know who your market is, if you don't know who you're trying to get your product or service across to, how can you sell to them? How can you market to them? How can you advertise them if you don't know who they are? So it's so important for, say, business people to understand their market. It's the same with people in life, that you need to understand your goals, what you're looking for, because if you can't see what you're trying to get, how are you ever going to get there? Which is funny, because that would have been my whole life philosophy, and it's how I've lived my life. I know where I'm going to be in a year's time. I know where I'm going to be in 5 years' time. I know where I'm going to be in 10 years' time. I'm very flexible to the approach, and I'm willing to make pivots as I go along, but I have an idea and a vague idea of where I'm going to be in 10 years' time. I know where my business will be, where my life will be, where my health will be, where my fitness will be, my relationship with Holly will be. I have a vague idea and I'm willing to move and maneuver with it, because, the universe and life is like water. You have to be able to move with it. But I would have said up to that point there was only one way, which is funny because I'm the first one to say, to the man with the hammer, the whole world looks like a nail. It's operant conditioning. B.F. Skinner talks about that. When you do something once and it works, you repeatedly do the same thing over and over again. It's similar to Pavlov's dog, where he will salivate at the sound of a bell. That if you do one thing, you start to make the association, well, this is the way life should be led. This is what you should do. And it's funny because I've spoken in other episodes before that there was a time when I thought everybody had to do high volume training. Everybody has to do high intensity training. Everybody has to eat real and clean foods. When the truth is, some people will respond better to heavy lifting. Some people will respond better to, 80-20, eating protein bars or eating Cocoa Pops or eating chocolate a small bit every day. Some people will work better with that. So to the man with the hammer, the whole world looks like a nail. So for me to answer, does everybody need goals? The truth is, everybody doesn't, because Paul is a walking example of, he lives his life in I'm just going to see how today goes. I'm going to get today right, and then the opportunity will open up, and Up until recently, I would have very much said everybody should have a goal and something to work towards. But it comes down to the Socrates quote, know thyself. If you're somebody that feels better knowing what direction you're going in, I would not feel comfortable going to bed at night if I didn't know what I was doing the following day or following week or following month, because I am very goal driven. I need to be able to work towards those goals, because if I don't, I get anxious and worried and be like, get all shook up. But when I went off my life path in college and I went teaching and I had no direction and didn't know where I wanted to be, that was the most unhappiest time in my life, because I had no drive, because I didn't know where I was going. Now I wake up every morning tap dancing to work, as Warren Buffett says. I love my life. You know, I love that I get to do podcasts and I get to do Snapchat Q&As and Facebook Lives, and I get to work out with people on Monday mornings in my Facebook Live workouts, and I get to do all of these things, working with my groups, working with my GAA players in the Lean Body Program. I absolutely love that I get to do that. And that for me is built through knowing what I wanted and then working towards it. But know thyself. You may be somebody who gets anxious and worried when you think about the future, and you may be better to live in day-tight compartments. Dale Carnegie talks about in his book, How to Stop Worrying and Start Living. He says, live in day-tight compartments where you literally take every day and you worry about this moment. And he speaks that there is no future, because all you have right now is this very moment in the present. The past is gone and you can't change it. And living in day-tight compartments can allow you to go through life without worry and without anxiety, and work towards your goals by just assuming that the universe or whatever it is that's out there will open up for you and the path will become clear as you do it. But knowing yourself is key. You know, I couldn't live my life that way. Paul, for example, couldn't live his life my way. So it's finding out what works best for you and then making that work in your life and then living your life by those rules. Does that make sense?
Yeah, brilliant.
Okay, we're going to leave it there for now. I want to say a massive thank you to my guest, Barry from O Sullivan Fitness on Facebook. Barry, where's the best place that people can find out more about you?
Yeah, you still find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at O Sullivan Fitness, and Snapchat at BOSully92.
And to find out more information about me, you can head over to my website, www.briankeenfitness.com. All my information on my BKF19, my Build Muscle Lose Body Fat program is on there, and my GAA Lean Body program. Anybody that plays GAA that wants to improve the sporting performance and build more muscle or lose body fat depending on your goals, all that information is on the website. You can also sign up to my newsletter on there. You can follow me on Snapchat, BrianK019, which is one of my most active platforms at the minute, and where I open it up every day for Snapchat Q&As back and forth. So BrianK019. And my Instagram, which I'm very active on at the minute now as well, Brian_Keen_Fitness. So make sure you're following me on Instagram, and then Facebook and YouTube is both Brian Keen Fitness. Thanks so much for downloading and listening. Catch you guys soon.